red light suddenly erupted from the center of the ice barrier, forming a massive pillar of flames that swept violently around the ancient flame toad. No matter whether it was the ice dragons or the magic treasures, everything was forcefully pushed aside. Within the blazing pillar, the silhouette of the toad could be faintly discerned. As the column of fire dispersed, the toad seized the moment, attempting to escape. It condensed into a ball of raging flames and shot toward the hole it had just made in the ice barrier. Marquis Nanlong and Lu Weiying reacted instantly, ordering their magic treasures to block the toad's path, but they were too late. In a blink, the toad reached the ice barrier's edge, but a sharp whistle cut through the air. A streak of black light shot toward it, striking its front leg. The toad felt an immediate burning and icy sensation. To its shock, a large portion of its limb had been severed. The beast trembled, roaring in unbearable pain, and despite its immense power, it fell from the sky. Marquis Nanlong and Lu Weiying rejoiced at the sight, commanding their treasures to swarm the beast and unleash a flurry of attacks. The dark green jade ring blurred into hundreds of phantoms, circling the toad in an attempt to restrain it. The twin blue halberds transformed into 20-meter-long ice pythons, lunging at the creature. The ancient flame toad, a beast once feared even by Master Kang Kun, showed no signs of faltering from its lost limb. It condensed a dense layer of small light shields across its body, bracing for the incoming attacks. The green ring phantoms couldn't get close enough to directly restrain it, only striking the light shields with minimal effect. The ice pythons chipped away at the fire element shields, smashing one after another, but the number of shields seemed endless, limiting the damage. Then 6 beams of blue light joined the assault, shattering the shields with bursts of radiance. A loud rumble shook the cavern as the ancient flame toad, despite its resistance, began to falter under the relentless attack. Marquis Nanlong's eyes widened in surprise as he noticed Han Li appearing nearby, seemingly out of nowhere. Han Li's arm was raised, black chi scattering around it. Behind him, 6 tortoise puppets emitted thick beams of blue light, striking the toad with precise force. Han Li's gaze fell on the toad's severed limb, floating near the ice barrier, still glowing with red light as if imbued with lingering spiritual power. His eyes betrayed a brief flicker of astonishment. Just moments ago, Han Li had unleashed the Yin Devil, execution in a desperate bid to prevent the toad's escape. Yet even after its fall, the beast remained tenacious, enduring attacks from 2 nascent soul cultivators and 6 of Han Li's puppets. Now he understood why Master Kang Kun hadn't dared to confront it while weakened. "Fellow Taoist Han, the fire shields around it are endless. You'll need to restrain it with ice attribute power, or this will take far too long," Lu Weiying shouted, her voice tinged with apprehension as the shattered shields reformed almost instantly, their misty fragments returning to the toad's body. Han Li didn't need prompting. With a wave of his sleeve, over 10 sparkling golden swords flew out, revolving once before condensing into a 3-meter-long blade, gleaming with golden light and radiating a chilling aura. Lu Weiying and Marquis Nanlong were puzzled, expecting him to deploy the formidable blue flame. Instead, Han Li raised the huge sword, lightly breathed on it, and coated it with a layer of roaring blue flames. Then, clapping his hands to seal a spell, he drew out divine Devilbane lightning. Golden arcs of flickering electricity danced across the sword's surface, crackling beneath the blue fire. A cold glint shone in Han Li's eyes as he pointed at the flame toad. "Go." The air trembled as the sword cleaved downward in a streak of gold. The flame toad, still pulsing with red spiritual light, had begun expanding wildly, attempting to break free. Yet, in a single instant, the massive golden sword descended upon its head, leaving trails of thunder in its wake. Sensing the sword's threat, the toad croaked strangely and spat a fist-sized scarlet fireball. Smooth and pearl-like, the air within the ice barrier became scorching as the fireball appeared. Han Li's heart skipped. Demon core? Impossible! It's not real! Relief washed over him. It was a mere illusion. The toad clearly feared the consequences of truly using its core. Without hesitation, Han Li commanded the sword to strike through the fireball. Despite the fireball's unusual nature, the bamboo cloud's warm swords, enhanced and sharpened with auric essence, should slice through it. The collision produced a spectacular scene. Golden and red light intertwined, as the sword only partially penetrated the fireball before being blocked. The toad's eyes glimmered with contempt as it ruptured the half-cut fireball. From the shattered light, a 6-meter-long red python surged upward, coiling around the sword and restraining it. Hanley smirked, forming an incantation seal with his hands. Golden arcs of lightning erupted from the sword, striking the python and forcing it away. The sword, trembling with power, vanished and reappeared above the ancient flame toad, descending again with blue flames surging along its surface. The toad's light shields froze under the icy blue flames and shattered. Over 10 shields collapsed instantly as the sword pressed downward toward its head. The flame toad hadn't anticipated such a turn. Having just spat a fireball condensed from its essence flame, it now faced the sword's merciless descent, its defenses obliterated. Fear filled its eyes. Helpless, it launched its jet-black tongue, crouched on its hind legs, and prepared to leap. For an ordinary treasure blade, this might have blocked the attack. But the bamboo cloudsworm's swords, refined with auric essence, cleaved through its tongue in a flash of golden light, continuing their descent. Slash! The toad leapt 3 meters, but its head was severed, spinning away from its body. The light shield scattered into ashes. Lu Weiying shouted in delight. "It's done!" Marquis Nanlong sighed, smiling, and stepped toward the ice barrier, hands forming an incantation gesture. "Wait!" Han Li's voice cut sharply. He stopped Marquis Nanlong from deactivating the barrier. "What is it, Brother Han?" Marquis Nanlong asked, bewildered, instinctively placing a hand on his storage pouch. Lu Weiying's expression mirrored cautious vigilance. Hanley ignored them, speaking calmly. "I need to confirm that the flame toad is truly dead." "Don't be too hasty, Brother Nanlong." "What, it's still alive?" Both Marquis Nanlong and Lu Weiying glanced toward the ice barrier, alarmed. Even as the toad's head and body were severed, they still glowed with light, floating in the air. 2 clouds of light rose from the separated pieces of the ancient flame toad, slowly merging together. "Its body, it's immortal? The flame toad actually possesses such an ability?" Marquis Nanlong exclaimed, alarm flashing in his eyes. Lu Weiying shared the same shock. Hanley shook his head slightly. "Immortal? Nothing in this world is truly immortal. Its vitality is simply far stronger than that of ordinary demon beasts." Having studied countless records, Hanley understood what an immortal body entailed. When he had severed the flame toad's arm, he had immediately sensed that something was off. That was why he had shouted at Marquis Nanlong not to dissolve the ice barrier, denying the toad any chance to restore itself and escape. A cold smile spread across Han Li's face as he pointed at the toad's head once more. The massive golden sword spun in the air, splitting into 2, and struck down simultaneously at each of the toad's body segments. In a flicker of blue light, 2 resounding bangs echoed. Frost layered over the toad's head and body, scattering the scarlet flames within. With its body destroyed, all that remained was a glowing scarlet sphere, the ancient flame toad's demon core. Both Marquis Nanlong and Lu Weiying felt a tug of temptation upon seeing it. After all, this was the core of an ancient beast with an immortal body. It was likely to contain strange, powerful attributes. Yet when they recalled Han Li's earlier display of power and his formidable reputation, any thought of claiming it for themselves vanished. They both understood clearly that even confronting him directly would be a gamble at best, and there was no reason to be hostile over the core of an unknown beast. Devilfall Valley still held far more treasures to uncover. Hanley didn't possess mind-reading skills, but he could guess their thoughts. During the battle, neither had displayed their full strength, likely relying on him to slay the toad. Though he had remained calm, his vigilance toward them had grown. Seeing their composure return now, he allowed himself a faint sigh of relief. Avoiding unnecessary risk was always preferable. With a wave of his hand, Han Li summoned the demon core into his palm. The 2 enormous flying swords dissolved into over 10 smaller swords before vanishing into his sleeve. Lowering his gaze, Han Li studied the fire-red demon core, exhaling a long, quiet sigh. One of his key objectives in Devilfall Valley had finally been achieved. Marquis Nanlong smiled, glancing at his companions. "It's fortunate that fellow Taoist Han was here to slay the ancient flame toad. Let's enter the nest and investigate. Brother Han, I'm sure you're curious about the treasures among the remains as well." "Of course." Han Li replied, carefully stowing the demon core. Lu Weiying's expression brightened, and the three of them turned into streaks of light, entering the cave instantly after securing their spell formations. Han Li had briefly considered releasing Silver Moon to seize the treasures first, but the other two cultivators were astute, vigilant, and stronger than him. They would have noticed any such maneuver immediately. Moreover, Han Li sensed something unusual about the remains and decided it was better to wait and observe. Inside, the three were momentarily struck by the sight of the lava, but they quickly focused on the stone platform where the ancient cultivator's remains lay, expressions lighting up with delight. Marquis Nanlong's smile faded as he observed the remains coolly. It seems these are the remains Master Kang Kun mentioned. Let's approach together. Han Li and Lu Weiying nodded in agreement, moving toward the stone platform. Han Li hovered 10 meters above, his gaze sharp, betraying a trace of eager impatience. The other two immediately extended their spiritual sense to examine the remains. Han Li's lips curved into a mysterious smile, choosing not to intervene. He had already detected something odd about the skeleton, and thought it best to let the two experience it firsthand. As they probed, green light burst from the robes, repelling their spiritual sense and preventing them from seeing anything. Wei Luoying frowned. Yi! There's something strange about these robes. Marquis Nanlong recovered his composure and explained, These are made from the silk of green silkworms. Ancient cultivators used them to prevent others from probing their spiritual essence. While rare now, they were common in the past. He waved his hand, summoning the green robes into his palm, revealing the skeleton beneath. A small black pouch hung from its waist. A storage pouch, just as expected, Lu Weiying exclaimed. Marquis Nanlong's expression brightened as he tossed the robes aside and focused intently on the pouch. Han Li's gaze flickered subtly as the azure robes hit the ground, betraying his interest. Marquis Nanlong smiled at his companions. If you two have no objection, I'll examine the pouch first. Of course, Brother Nanlong, Han Li replied, his tone polite yet measured. Lu Weiying hesitated briefly before nodding. Marquis Nanlong stepped forward, taking the pouch carefully in hand. He probed its contents with spiritual sense, his face stiffening. What is it, Brother Nanlong? Let us see, Lu Weiying urged, curiosity piqued. Nodding, Marquis Nanlong flipped the pouch, spilling its contents in a flash of white light. A pile of items clattered onto the floor. Lu Weiying gasped. What in the world is this? Most of the items were glowing scarlet metal lumps, still scorching hot. Among them, a white jade box, a small purple mirror, a tiny yellow sword, a set of green flying needles, and 2 black medicine bottles immediately caught the eye. Han Li narrowed his eyes, noting the uniqueness of the items. Except for the jade box and medicine bottles, these were rare ancient treasures. The box and bottles intrigued him further. They were made of materials, impervious to his spiritual sense. Frowning, he muttered, I've never seen these materials before, though they seem unfinished. Marquis Nanlong mused aloud. Unfinished? Likely. These iron chunks appear to be legendary spirit ores, used in the past to refine rare treasures. They require extraordinary methods, countless rare materials and massive worldly energy. Judging by the quantity here, this cultivator must have aimed to refine a formidable fire attribute treasure. Han Li recalled the records he had read, confirming that spirit ores were indeed used to create ancient treasures. Lu Weiying's eyes gleamed as she examined the remaining items, lingering on the jade box and medicine bottles. Marquis Nanlong handed the pouch to Han Li, who weighed it briefly and checked its contents before passing it to Lu Weiying. He inspected it and nodded, satisfied. Marquis Nanlong then suggested solemnly, Let's divide these treasures. Perhaps each of us should select 2 items. Han Li's gaze flickered slightly as he noticed the look on Lu Weiying's face. Brother Lu, he asked calmly, are you suggesting another way to divide the treasures? Lu Weiying replied, If both the jade box and the medicine bottles were ancient treasures themselves, then it would be fair for each of us to take 2 items, but before he could continue, Marquis Nanlong interrupted with a tone that sounded fair on the surface. We don't yet know what lies inside the jade box or the bottles. Naturally, we should examine them first, then split everything according to their true value. Lu Weiying frowned at first, but after a brief pause nodded. That's reasonable. What do you think, fellow Taoist Han? I have no objections, Han Li said without hesitation. Let's do as you say. Marquis Nanlong smiled in satisfaction. Fellow Taoist Han is refreshingly straightforward. Then allow me to open it. With a sweep of his hand, the white jade box floated into his grasp. He pressed his other hand down, trying to open it. The moment the lid moved, a flash of white light erupted, a barrier of spiritual light pushing back his hand. Marquis Nanlong frowned slightly. Yee! There's a restriction on this box. He paused for a moment. Then golden light burst from his palm as he reached again. The white and golden lights intertwined and resisted one another, crackling faintly after a short struggle. The golden light flared brighter and shattered the restriction. The white glow faded away completely. A faint yellow glimmer emerged from within the box, revealing a single jade slip lying quietly inside. Lucky. Nanlong hesitated for a breath before placing the slip against his forehead. His spiritual sense swept through it, and a strange look crossed his face. Fellow Taoists, have a look, he said quickly, tossing it over to Han Li so as not to arouse suspicion. Han Li caught it and placed it against his own forehead. Moments later, his brows furrowed slightly. He silently handed it to Lu Weiying, who read it next. Before finishing, Lu Weiying muttered in confusion, "The seven-flame fan? I've never heard of this ancient treasure before. Is it powerful?" Marquis Nanlong mused aloud. "Hard to say. Judging by the refinement method recorded here and the requirement for spirit ores, it must be extraordinary." Lu Weiying shook his head. "Even so, it's useless to us. The method demands 81 fire attributed, spirit materials, and as many supplementary ones. Many of those ingredients are long extinct. The jade slip's value lies only in research." Marquis Nanlong smiled carelessly and slipped the jade slip back into the box. Hanley was about to dismiss it as well when Silvermoon's delighted voice suddenly echoed in his mind. "The seven-flame fan? Master, did I hear correctly? That jade slip actually contains its refinement method?" Hanley's heart stirred slightly. "That's right. You know of it?" Silvermoon's voice trembled with excitement. "Of course. The seven-flame fan is no ordinary ancient treasure. It's a divine spirit treasure. Though low-ranked among them, it still holds immense power." "Divine spirit treasure?" Hanley blurted out in shock. Before he could ask further, the monarch of soul divergence's voice echoed in his mind, brimming with excitement. "A divine spirit treasure, you say? You must acquire that jade slip no matter what." "I once sought such treasures for research, but their refinement methods are nearly impossible to find." Silvermoon's tone turned sharp. "Old monster, must you always run your mouth?" The monarch chuckled lightly. "Still holding a grudge, Demon Fox? I only wanted to study you before because intelligent tool spirits are so rare. Your master agreed, did he not?" "You—" Hanley's cold voice cut in. "Enough, Silvermoon. That's in the past. Don't dwell on it. Senior," he added toward the monarch, "it seems you're familiar with divine spirit treasures, but now's not the time to discuss it. We'll speak later." He then shifted his gaze back to Marquis Nanlong, who was opening the 2 black medicine bottles. Silvermoon fell silent, still annoyed but obedient. As soon as Marquis Nanlong unsealed the first bottle, a wave of rich fragrance filled the air. The scent was so soothing that Han Li's mind trembled slightly. Marquis Nanlong lifted a shimmering jade-green pill into view. "This is no common ancient pill," he murmured. "I can't identify it right away, but it doesn't seem dangerous. I'll need to compare it to ancient records." Lu Weiying leaned closer, eyes gleaming. "How many pills are in the bottle?" Marquis Nanlong turned the bottle upside down. Empty. "Only one. But it seems extremely valuable. Open the other one," Lu Weiying said impatiently. Marquis Nanlong nodded, resealed the first pill, and opened the second bottle. To everyone's surprise, another identical green pill rested inside. The 2 cultivators exchanged a wary glance. Han Li smiled faintly. "It seems we've gained quite a haul. 3 ancient treasures, 2 unknown spirit pills, and a refinement method. How should we divide them?" Marquis Nanlong carefully held the bottles in both hands. "Fellow Taoist Han, you should know that Brother Lu and I came here seeking spiritual medicines. Naturally, we'd like to take the 2 pills as our share. You may choose first among the remaining treasures. That should be fair, yes?" Hanley frowned slightly, glancing at the treasures scattered on the ground. "You 2 know how valuable those pills might be. To be honest, I'd rather have..." one of them to enhance my cultivation, then take another ancient treasure. The other two cultivators' expressions stiffened. Marquis Nanlong forced a smile. Fellow Taoist Han, you're still young. With your talent, you'll have countless opportunities to improve your cultivation. We old men, however, are nearing the end of our lifespan. Surely you wouldn't contend with us for these pills. Hanley's tone remained calm but resolute. My youth has nothing to do with it. Opportunities like this are rare, and I don't intend to give it up easily. Still, I'm willing to relinquish all the other treasures if you'll give me the 2 pills. To be honest, I already possess enough ancient items. Lu Weiying grew tense. Grinding his teeth, he said, Fellow Taoist Han must be jesting. We can't possibly give up the pills. How about this? If you forgo them, we'll let you have first choice for your entire share of the remaining treasures. Brother Nanlong, what do you think? Marquis Nanlong looked reluctant, but sighed. Fine. If he gives up the pills, let him pick 2 treasures first. It was clear both men were unwilling to part with the pills, even though they coveted the other treasures as well. Hanley appeared hesitant, pretending to consider their offer. Seeing that, Lu Weiying quickly pressed on. Fellow Taoist Han, your lifespan is still long. You'll have time to find other pills in the future, but ancient treasures can save your life in battle. Surely that's the wiser choice. Hanley chuckled softly. It seems that unless I concede the pills, this division will never end. Very well, I'll let you have them. I'll only take the purple mirror, the jade slip, and the spirit ore. I've developed quite an interest in the art of tool refinement. With a flick of his wrist, the purple mirror flew into his hand. Marquis Nanlong and Lu Weiying exchanged puzzled glances, then nodded. As you wish, Brother Han. Though they found his choice strange, their greed for the pills outweighed their curiosity. Hanley smiled faintly, storing the mirror in his sleeve. With a light wave of his hand, a green glow swept over the remaining items, pulling the jade box and spirit ores into his possession before they vanished from sight. Marquis Nanlong and Lu Weiying each took one of the medicine bottles, carefully tucking them into their storage pouches. Once that was done, their eyes fell on the 2 remaining ancient treasures lying before them. Splitting these last items seemed troublesome. As the 2 men hesitated, Han Li's calm smile broke the silence. How about this? He suggested. I already have enough ancient treasures. If you 2 have sufficient spirit stones, I'll let you buy these at a fair price. Lu Weiying's eyes lit up immediately. That's an excellent offer. Fellow Taoist Han, I came well prepared. To him, acquiring ancient treasures, items impossible to purchase even with wealth, was a rare opportunity. Marquis Nanlong, who lacked such treasures the most, was equally delighted. Then we'll gladly take you up on that, he agreed. The 2 quickly gathered nearly all, their spirit stones, and handed them to Han Li. The exchange left everyone satisfied. Once they had taken the treasures, Han Li waved his hand, and the azure silkworm robe flew into his grasp. Without a word, he stored it away. The other 2 noticed, but made no comment. Though the robe was rare, they saw little value in it and weren't inclined to question him. With the treasures divided, the 3 began harvesting the spirit grass growing beside the molten rock. Each obtained several stalks. These fiery plants, resilient enough to grow amid the lava's heat, were identified as golden yang grass, precious materials for refining, flame attribute spirit pills. Having collected everything of worth, the trio gathered again on the stone platform. Han Li was the first to speak, his voice calm and steady. The treasures have been secured. I intend to leave the valley and retrace my path out. Will you 2 be coming with me? Marquis Nanlong chuckled lightly. Fellow Taoist Han must be joking. Brother Lu and I went through great effort to get in here. It would be a shame to leave so soon. Why the hurry? Han Li's tone remained composed. It's simple. I've gained enough and don't wish to take more risks. The road of cultivation is long, and I'd rather not shorten it by lingering in a place as perilous as this. Lu Weiying grinned. I didn't expect fellow Taoist Han to be so cautious about his future. Still, it's a pity we won't be traveling together. You may go ahead. We'll stay and continue our exploration. Hanley gave them an odd look. Leave alone? If I take the yin-yang ring with me, how will you pass through the Great North Essence lights? Marquis Nanlong answered confidently. No need for concern. We've already made preparations. Master Kang Kun once found a transportation formation deeper within the valley. It's quite far from here. So for you, the way you came is still faster. I would have mentioned it earlier if it were closer. Hanley's brows rose slightly, but he nodded. So that's how it is. Then I'll take my leave. I wish you both great fortune. Both men smiled and cupped their hands. Many thanks, fellow Taoist Han. Please, go ahead. Hanlei returned their courtesy, then turned his gaze briefly toward the crystalline skeleton before transforming into a streak of azure light, vanishing from sight. As his figure disappeared, Lu Weiying's smile faded. Marquis Nanlong, expressionless, struck his storage pouch and released several small golden birds, his eternal flight orioles. The creatures shot out of the cave like streaks of light. He closed his eyes, seemingly sensing through them. Lu Weiying waited in silence. After some time, Marquis Nanlong's eyes flickered open. He's gone. At least within a radius of 5 kilometers, there's no trace of him. Lu Weiying frowned. Didn't you say his spiritual sense is abnormally strong? What if he's concealing himself? Marquis Nanlong stroked his chin. If he were hiding nearby, I would know. Don't ask how. I have my means. His tone carried confidence that made Lu Weiying uneasy, but he said no more. Instead, Lu Weiying began forming hand seals, surrounding the area with a faint barrier of light. Marquis Nanlong only gave a faint, disapproving smile. Better safe than sorry, Lu Weiying said. We've never been able to see through that. Hanley, he feels unfathomable, and didn't you notice how he glanced at the skeleton before leaving? Marquis Nanlong shook his head. You're overthinking it. That youth may be powerful, but there's no way he knows the secret of those bones. His glance was likely out of curiosity. The skeleton's unusual appearance would attract anyone's eye. Lu Weiying pondered for a moment. Maybe so. Still, he chose to leave so suddenly. Perhaps he plans to search for treasures elsewhere in the valley alone. Either way, we must be cautious. Even if he's not gone completely, we'll just proceed carefully. Marquis Nanlong sighed softly. According to Master Kang Kun's notes, that ancient cultivator's remains are the key to opening the blood curse gate, since such powerful restrictions seal it. It must contain something extraordinary. They say the gate was once a vault of ancient treasures. That diseased cultivator's transparent bones prove he'd opened it once before. It's our good fortune that Master Kang Kun failed to claim it. Lu Weiying nodded eagerly. The treasures we've gathered so far can't compare to what's hidden behind that gate. Let's move quickly. The sooner we reach it, the better. Agreed, Marquis Nanlong replied. The gate isn't far. I'm eager to see what's hidden within. If those who placed the restrictions died nearby, there must be a story there. But I'm not interested in mysteries. Only what's left behind. I feel the same. Let's go. With that, both men shot out of the passageway, streaking toward another path within the massive mountain. Meanwhile, Han Li was already 50 kilometers away, heading toward the outer valley. Silvermoon's voice echoed in his mind, laced with concern. Master, are you truly leaving? Those two were clearly hiding something. That skeleton was strange. Han Li chuckled softly. Of course I know. There's more to it, perhaps other treasures. But I have something far more important to find. The spirit kindle fruit. I can't afford to waste time on their schemes, especially since we're already behind the ghost spirit sect. Silvermoon hesitated, then asked curiously, So the spirit kindle fruit is truly that valuable to you? But then, why did you take that azure silkworm robe at the end? You didn't seem interested in it before. Hanley's lips curved slightly. Heh, I doubt either of those old men knew why I took it. Silvermoon's tone was puzzled. What do you mean, Master? Hanley didn't answer right away. Instead, he raised his hand and tapped his storage pouch. A green flash revealed the silkworm robe in his grasp. With a casual motion, he tore open one corner of the fabric. Silvermoon gasped as a small patch of hidden cloth slipped free. It bore crude, ancient markings. Hanli put away the robe and carefully examined the fragment. As he studied it, Silvermoon caught sight of the symbols. Her voice trembled slightly. That's a map of Devilfall Valley. Hanley's expression darkened slightly as his gaze settled on a few large symbols. His eyes narrowed in thought, the faintest glint of realization flickering within them. Hanley studied the crude map carefully. At first glance, it bore a rough resemblance to Devilfall Valley. Yet certain areas were meticulously marked, showing not only specific sections of the valley, but also the surrounding terrain in detail. Hanley could determine his current location relative to the marked spots. But they were still far away, and the dangers that awaited were unknown. Muttering to himself, he shook his head and stowed the map. He understood that it contained valuable secrets, but right now, his focus had to remain on acquiring the spirit-kindle fruit. It was too important to risk distraction. Silvermoon seemed to sense his thoughts, remaining quiet. Hanley flipped his hand and retrieved the jade box he had recently obtained, placing it carefully into the bamboo tube strapped to his back. Speaking with a calm, indifferent tone, he said, "Many materials needed to forge the seven-flame fan likely no longer exist. Perhaps Senior can find suitable substitutes using his knowledge of material equivalents. If I succeed in refining this treasure, you will have my utmost respect." A brief silence followed before the monarch of soul divergence let out a cold laugh. "Youngster, do you take me for a fool? While I am indeed interested in the divine spirit treasure, I won't study its refinement without a proper reason. Do you think mere praise is enough to persuade me?" Hanlai remained composed, replying with icy clarity, "Divine spirit treasures are not easily refined. I know you understand material equivalents, but I cannot be certain you can truly accomplish this. If you do, I will go to any lengths to fulfill any of your requests. Will that suffice?" The monarch of soul divergence paused, then snorted arrogantly. "In the past, I discovered a few materials for divine spirit, treasures in ancient cultivator ruins, and became fascinated by them. These treasures were revered by ancient cultivators, and I took careful note. Unfortunately, the information was too scarce, and I made no progress. Now that I am neither human nor ghost, I won't waste my remaining years on a hopeless endeavor. I will only seek a few substitute materials, not devise a new refinement method. And remember, once I am finished, I will have a demand for you." Hanley's face broke into a smile. "Fine, I agree." With the genius behind the great development arts on his side, he would not squander this opportunity. Though he already possessed another divine spirit treasure, the Heaven Void Cauldron, he didn't know when it could be utilized. Divine spirit treasures were rare and unparalleled. Having more was always better. The monarch of soul divergence fell silent, likely examining the refinement method inside the jade box. With the matter settled, the light surrounding Han Li flared brightly as he surged forward, moving faster than before. Far away in the mountains housing the purple-lined scorpion's nest, Marquis Nanlong and Lu Weiying navigated a narrow, unfamiliar tunnel. Darkness enveloped them. Even with their high cultivation, they could only see 10 meters ahead. Lu Weiying followed 3 meters behind, his voice cautious. "Brother Nanlong, I never imagined such cold and damp conditions within the lava territory. This strengthens my suspicion that the Blood Curse Gate is here." Marquis Nanlong smiled faintly. "So you doubted it, Brother Lu? Keep in mind Master Kang Kun never recorded the Blood Curse Gate, otherwise, the Ghost Spirit Sect would already be here. It's a secret passed down only through his descendants." Lu Weiying's eyes narrowed slightly. "But if it weren't for needing the power of 2 nascent soul cultivators to open the gate, perhaps I wouldn't have been needed." Chuckling, Marquis Nanlong said casually, "Brother Lu, we've been friends for years. With such rewards at stake, it's only natural you accompany me. Why else would I hide this from that youngster Han?" Lu Weiying smiled and dropped the topic. He knew that showing a precautionary side was wise. It ensured their partnership wouldn't falter in this unfamiliar territory. Marquis Nanlong, perceiving his thoughts, inwardly sneered while keeping his expression neutral. The tunnel eventually opened to a faint light. The two quickened their pace and stepped into a massive cavern over 300 meters wide. Stalactites of a meter in length sparkled with white light, but the centerpiece was a dark green pool 30 meters across. Its emerald surface was calm and seemingly ordinary. Lu Weiying glanced around, wary. "The Blood Curse Gate is truly here." Marquis Nanlong revealed a knowing smile. "Without doubt. But Master Kang Kun concealed the area's restrictions. Carefully before leaving, his gaze fixed on the pool. Lu Weiying's eyes widened as he took in the scene, slowly realizing the truth. Marquis Nanlong waved his sleeve, producing a small blue flag. With a soft plop, it vanished into the pool. He formed a hand seal, muttering incantations. The pool's calm surface rippled violently, spinning faster until a massive whirlpool emerged, humming with energy. "A water split flag?" "I didn't think you had one, Brother Nanlong," Lu Weiying said, astonished. Nothing special, Marquis Nanlong replied, shaking his head. It only splits water. He raised his hands, striking the whirlpool with 2 spell seals. The water expanded, forming a passage. Without hesitation, he dove in. Lu Weiying followed, quickly realizing the pool's depth was extraordinary. After a kilometer, he glimpsed the light above and felt a wave of pressure bearing down. They plunged further, traveling over 300 kilometers before Marquis Nanlong finally slowed. The pool's bottom revealed a circular area over 30 meters wide. The water split flag stood in the center, radiating blue light surrounded by a towering, dark green wall of water. Lu Weiying frowned, impressed. The blood curse gate is incredibly well hidden. Who would think to dive a kilometer deep? Marquis Nanlong speculated. Master Cancun must have used his spiritual sense to locate it directly. He then slapped his storage pouch, summoning a white jade pendant that began to orbit them, forming an incantation seal. He unleashed streaks of colorful spell seals onto the pendant, which absorbed them and radiated blinding white light. Hovering before the water barrier, the pendant screamed with phoenix cries. A white mist of light shot forth, distorting the water's image until a 10-meter-tall arched stone gate appeared, crimson sparks dancing across its surface. Atop the gate, a massive horned ghost head leered lifelike and malevolent. Lu Weiying's hand went to his chin, a wave of unease washing over him. This is the blood curse gate?